We're going to take a look at how we can extend some of the animation effects even more. You can do this by taking advantage of the jQuery user interface library. And what the library is it's a collection of really advanced jQuery scripts, widgets, effects, interactions, all sorts of things that you can integrate into your projects. And it's pretty easy to incorporate it into your projects. We're going to go to the jQuery website, and here I am just at jQuery.com, and I'm just going to click the link for UI right here, and this is going to take me to the jQuery user interface section of the site, and it's really extensive. There's a lot of really good information here, so I encourage you to explore this on your own because it'll give you more information than I can cover in this course about the library. It's going to provide all sorts of different information, and it also provides download links for the various interface elements that you might want to incorporate into your project. Now, just as when you use jQuery, you can either download the file and use it and host it on your own site, or you can go ahead and you can pull it off of Google. You may want to consider pulling it from Google because, of course, the advantage to that is that you don't have to host that, and the library gets pretty large. If you want to incorporate the whole thing, I think it's around like 300K, so it's kind of significant. I mean, it's definitely not a couple K or something like that, so you might want to consider hosting it off Google if you want to. You can also come in here and you can choose which of the UI components you want to include and kind of customize the library. So let's say you really only wanted to make something that was draggable, then you could deselect everything except for the draggable interaction. You are going to need all the UI core information up here in order to make that work, but you could deselect all of the other effects and UI information, and then you could download it, and it would go ahead and provide you with a JavaScript file that only is going to include the things you need to make an element draggable. So there's a lot of different ways that you can customize this. You can also get a lot of information on the jQuery user interface website as far as there's demos, there's documentation, there's all sorts of support, there's a lot of different information. So this is a great resource for you, and you'll definitely want to spend some time and check out what's available. But we're going to go ahead and use a couple of these things, and I'll demonstrate how you can incorporate these into your project. I'm going to be using the page that we've been working on. Currently, if I reload the page, I've removed the animation that was on the fruit down here, so this no longer is animated at all, and it's just kind of our basic page. This is absolutely positioned at the bottom of this div. So what we'll do first is, back over here in Dreamweaver, we're going to need to include the library. So I've already downloaded the library, so all I really need to do is make a new reference to that script file and point to it. Now I've gone ahead and customized the JavaScript UI library a little bit so you can see the name of the file, and this was right from me downloading it, is jQuery-UI with these version numbers, and then it says custom, so it's identifying that it has been customized a little bit, and I just kind of got rid of some things that I wasn't going to use for this particular example. It is possible, as I was saying before, and might be beneficial to you. I'm just going to comment out the reference to the library right here. It might be beneficial to you, though, to go ahead and just link to the Google hosted version of the UI library. If you're going to do that, you're just going to open your script tag, and then you'll just put an absolute link to http://ajax.googleapps.com ajax libs jQuery UI /1.8, which is the current version of the UI library, and then this is the minified version. So it'll go ahead and grab this from the web, and I'll use that for this example, but I'll leave this commented out piece in my file in case you want to just include it yourself. This customized minified version, I believe it was about 111K that I downloaded So it is smaller than the whole UI library, but still it's going to add some weight to your website. What we'll do now is we'll go ahead and we'll go into our script file and we'll start to add in some of the interactivity that we can achieve by using this. So I still have my document ready function. Currently I am hiding the divs that contain the text content that we don't want to see at this point in time. Let's go ahead and let's animate or affect the fruit picture as we were doing before. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a reference to the container div, and then I'm going to specifically target the fruit fall div. We'll go ahead and we'll close our quote, close our parenthesis, and then I'm going to go ahead and string together a chain of instructions or actions that I want to have happen. So the first one that we're going to add is we're going to do a show, and I'm going to pass on some parameters to show, and this is going to take advantage of the UI library. I'm going to show this picture by exploding it into a bunch of pieces, and I'll have it explode over 1 second. So I'll go ahead and type 1 second right there, and I'm just going to save my file. And if we go into our browser and refresh the page, so here I am in the browser, when I refresh the page, you can see that every time I refresh the page, this fruit image now kind of implodes together. I have it showing, so it is exploding into view. You could also add hide if you wanted it to disappear and it would explode to get out of the view. So this is an example of using the explode effect, and what it does is it's going to explode or implode the element into or from many pieces. And it's very easy to do. You can just choose to either show or hide, and then tell it that you want to use the explode effect and tell it the amount of time that you want to use it. In addition to this, you can also specify the number of pieces that you want to have it explode to or from, and you will do this by, after you type explode, after the comma, you're going to set up a curly brace, and inside the curly brace you're going to type pieces, and then you're going to put colon, and you'll put the number of pieces that you want to have it burst into. So I'm just going to say 16, and then I'll terminate with a curly brace and put a comma. And if we save now and refresh the page, you'll notice that now it has more pieces that it's breaking into. The default amount of pieces, if you don't specify anything, is 9. So this is significantly more. I'm going to now change it to 36, and if we come back to our page, you can see how many more pieces come together. And maybe I'll just slow that down a little bit too. So if I want to slow it down, all I have to do is make a change to the amount of time that the effect is going to need to be able to do whatever it is that it's doing. So now that you can see, it takes a little while to kind of build up to our piece. So that's how Explode works. It's pretty fun to be able to use that, and you can use it in conjunction with show or hide this particular effect. Let's go ahead and let's add another one. I'm going to have this happen a little bit faster, and I'll reduce the number of pieces back down to 16. Because I'm going to chain together events, I want to eliminate the semicolon. The semicolon is only going to be present on the last event or action that I want to show. So I'm going to have this explode, and then I'm going to have it have a delay for about a second. And then we're going to go ahead and add another effect. This one that I'm going to share with you is the Pulsate Effect. So I'm going to type effect, and then in parentheses, in quotes, I will put the name of this one, and this one is Pulsate. And I'm going to have this happen over let's just do 2 seconds. So I'll type 2, close the parentheses, and this is the last action, so I will now terminate the statement with a semicolon, and I need to have the closing quote right there as well. Oh, I forgot. The dot is very important right there, so let's add that dot in there, and we'll refresh the page. There it goes, it implodes, waits a second, and now it's going to pulse. And you can see it's just kind of blinking on and off. When you use the pulsate, it's going to affect the opacity of the element, and it's just going to have it blink multiple times. You again can use this with show or hide, and you can also pass on a parameter for the amount of times that you might want it to pulse for. So let's augment that, and we do it the same way. We put the curly brace. This time we'll write times, and we'll put a colon, and we'll put the amount of times that we want it to pulsate. We'll close the curly brace and follow by a comma, and if we save our page and refresh it in the browser, you'll now see that it's going to pulse on and off 5 times. So this is the third. We should have 2 more times that it's going to pulse on and off, and then the visibility will stay visible. All right, so there we go. That's some of the effects right now. The last one that I'm going to incorporate into this chain, and certainly not recommending that you do all of these together, I'm just kind of using them as an example. You really want to think about the usability before you add the effects, because sometimes they might not necessarily be an enhancement on a web page, but by all means, if they're appropriate, certainly use them. I'm going to go ahead and use the draggable effect. So I'm going to type draggable, and I'm not going to pass on any parameters, and I'll need to put the semicolon here and get rid of it on the previous action, and we'll save this. And if we come into our browser and refresh the page, it implodes together, and at this point my object is now draggable. You can see that it's pulsing and it's allowing me to drag. So it's going to pulse 5 times, and then it will become opaque, and the draggable behavior is still going to be apparent. So all I have to do is click somewhere on the object, and I can drag it anywhere I want on the stage. I can even drag it to places that aren't you can see how the scroll bars are actually coming and becoming present as I drag this around. So I can put this anywhere I want on my page. Really sophisticated feature. I mean, you can build full-on games with jQuery. It's pretty impressive. Lots of fun to be had here. I will share one last resource for you. I already showed you where you could come to the jQuery user interface. I also like to go to this address. It's http://docs.jquery.com/UI/effects, and this just has a description of the core effects. It tells you a little bit about it, and then it actually is going to give you all the effects that can be used with show, hide, or toggle. So some of these, like we used explode, you can see that there's other ones that you might want to investigate and use, and then effects that can be only used standalone. So these are standalone ones like pulsate or shake or bounce or something like that. So this is a good resource too, and if you click and you want more information, like if I wanted more information about explode, I could click the link for explode, and it's going to go ahead and give you some information. In most situations it'll have a little demo of how you can use it, and it'll let you know any other attributes that you might be able to pass along to that specific effect. So go ahead and bookmark this portion too, in case you find it's useful for explaining some of the user interface library effects as well.